Okay, there we go.
Sorry about that.
All right. All right. And so if you shut my co-host off, and the recording's probably going to stop again, so we'll just leave it on.
Okay.
All right, here we go again. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and signing up for this session. I'm going to do my best to talk to you about Canadian citizenship and naturalization. I've searched and requested naturalization records during my research and have found them to contain valuable information I was not able to find out about my ancestors, like their place and date of birth and their ancestral village. I've recently found it difficult at times to navigate the Library and Archives Canada website, so I thought maybe others have had difficulty too, and I'll provide you with a solution for that today. No questions were submitted ahead of time, so feel free to add those questions to chat at any time, and I'll do my best to answer them at the end. So I'm going to cover what naturalization is, how the records can help you in your research of your ancestors, what records are available, and how to request copies. Before 1947, if your ancestors were born in countries such as England, Jamaica, Ireland, South Africa, India, and Australia, you will not find their names in naturalization records. This is because immigrants born in Great Britain and other parts of the British Empire were already British subjects. They had no need to become naturalized in Canada. A person can be a Canadian citizen by birth or by naturalization. So what is naturalization? Naturalization is the process that an immigrant goes through from applying for citizenship to becoming a citizen. Alien was a term used for a person who was not a British subject before January 1st, 1947. An immigrant could not apply for citizenship as soon as he or she arrived in Canada. The person had to live in Canada for a minimum number of years. Before 1914, they could apply after living in Canada for 3 years. From 1914 to 1977, they had to reside in this country for 5 years. Citizenship laws have changed over time. It can be helpful to know what legislation was in effect at the time that your ancestors applied to be naturalized. For example, until 1932, a married woman's citizenship status was defined by her husband's, so only the husband would apply to be naturalized. A minor child was under the age of 18. Alien children who were minors at the time that their father or their widowed mother was naturalized and who entered Canada before 1915 were considered to have been included in the local naturalization of their father or their widowed mother. You may have heard the term British subject. Before January the 1st, 1947, a person born or naturalized in Canada was considered a British subject. This term was used in the Naturalization Act, which was in effect from 1868 to 1946. The Canadian Citizenship Act took effect January 1st, 1947. It gave legal recognition to the terms Canadian citizen and Canadian citizenship. Library and Archives Canada holds only a few collections related to citizenship. These are indexed and digitized in the following databases. In the early 1800s, many people were coming from the United States to settle in Upper Canada, later known as Canada West, now Ontario. Concerns were raised by authorities about their loyalty to the British monarchy, since most of them grew up under a Republican government. 3 naturalization acts were passed between 1828 and 1951, requiring people to be naturalized. Alien men who had been living in Upper Canada for 7 years were expected to take an oath of allegiance before the county registrar and thus become British subjects. In 1845, 7 years was changed to 5. This database consists of nearly 3,000 references to records of those naturalized between 1828 and 1850. Library and Archives Canada holds naturalization records created by the Circuit Court Office in Montreal. Most records were created between 1868 and 1916. The database provides access to over 8,600 references to citizenship records. They will likely be in their original language. They were not translated. The names of people who were naturalized can be found in the naturalization list from 1915 to 1951, published by the Canadian government in the Canada Gazette and in the annual reports of the Secretary of State. Those lists are digitized and indexed by name in this database. Library and Archives Canada do not have the naturalization records. They provide the database of indexed names only. The records are held by Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada. Although records from before 1917 were later destroyed, there is one exception. If someone was naturalized before 1917, but had contact with the Department of the Secretary of State in later years, those records should still exist. An example would be someone who was a child when their father was naturalized in 1910, which automatically included the wife and minor children. As an adult, the person might apply for a naturalization certificate to prove their status. That application from after 1917 would likely include copies of documents from the father's 1910 naturalization file. The government has kept a card index of the records prior to 1917 arranged by name. It includes only basic details about the person, such as present and former place of residence, former country of nationality, occupation, date of certificate, and the name and the location of the responsible court. Records created after 1917 exist and are more detailed. They include information such as full name, date and place of birth, immigration details, and the name of spouse and children. The file will usually include the petition for naturalization, a Royal Canadian Mounted Police report on the person, the oath of allegiance, and any related documents. In my experience, the document copies, whether you receive them printed or in a digitized format, are very cloudy and hard to read. Let me just show you one. So very, and it really doesn't change much, but they're very worthwhile transcribing because you want every detail that is in there. Here's an example of an index card from 1914. The original file was destroyed, and this is why I just got this card. It is important to provide as much information as possible when you are making your request. This is the record I received, but it's not for the right person. I was looking for the one that settled in Manitoba, not Saskatchewan. I have two Wasselbergoses in my family tree. They were both born a year apart in the same village, in Austria, and they died the same year in 1949. However, they settled in different provinces in Canada at different times. This is a naturalization certificate included in a file from the 1930s. The file survived, but I was not provided with the first 12 pages of the file. I didn't specifically ask for the complete file. Maybe that's why they're missing. And that's the same one I just showed you a moment ago. I got 7 pages in this digital file that they sent me, but the very first page says pages 1 to 12 are withheld pursuant to section 19(1) of the Access to Information Act. And that act has to do with release of private information. For a search of naturalization and or citizenship indexes and records from 1854 to present, you have 3 options. You can do an online request, either by email or online, or in an email, or by snail mail. I've provided a link in the handout to the online application. However, I was not able to process my request. Tried several times this week and had the same result. There is something wrong on the website. I've recommended you complete an access to information and privacy form and email it or mail it with the proof of death and your identification instead. I tried to download the access to information and privacy form. However, the website was not working for that either. So I provided you with a link in the handout to another website with the same form. And this is the form here. The very first page of the form explains in detail what to include on the second page. And so then the second page, you can type right into this form, and you can download the file as a digital file to attach to an email, or you can print it and include it in a letter. For all requests, please note the following requirements, and a checklist has been provided of these items for you in the handout. The request must include a signed consent from the person concerned or proof that he or she has been deceased for 20 years. Proof of death can be a copy of a death record, a newspaper obituary, or a photograph of a gravestone showing the name and the date of death. Your request should include as many of the following details as possible. As I mentioned before, don't leave anything out or you may get the wrong file or no file at all. Include the person's full name, place of present and former residence, date and place of birth, and approximate year of arrival in Canada. The names of his parents and spouse are helpful too. Include the file number of the naturalization certificate if you found it. You can search the naturalization database on the Library and Archives Canada website. To find it easily, search naturalization lists 1915 to 1951 on Google. There's links in your handout also. Specify that you want a complete copy of the file, not like I did, and then you miss probably the most important part. For access to information and privacy requests sent by mail, your application should include the access to information form, and it must be submitted by a Canadian citizen or a person that lives in Canada. So if you send it by mail, they already know that you are living in Canada because of your return address. So you don't have to provide proof of citizenship. However, if you're emailing your request, you must send a copy of your passport or your driver's license or health card so that they know that you're a Canadian citizen. Otherwise, for non-citizens who do not live in Canada, a freelance researcher would have to be hired to make the request on their behalf. If you cannot locate your ancestor in databases online, or if you have received only an index card from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, you may be able to find a copy of the court files on the Family Search website. Just going to show you this is the Citizenship and Naturalization Records page in Library and Archives Canada website. If you scroll down to the bottom, you see other resources. It says you can search the following collections on Family Search by signing up for a free account. Some can be searched by name, which is the British Columbia Naturalization Records. For others, you can browse through the images. And so you can browse through images for Nova Scotia and Saskatchewan. And according to the Family Search posts that I saw in the last week or two, apparently you don't need an account anymore. So give that a try even if you don't have an account. So I didn't find my great-grandfather in the Library and Archives Canada databases, so I searched the court records at Family Search. I used the date of naturalization I found on his homestead record. The date was within the range of the files on Family Search. So you can see I've enlarged the stamp that's on the homestead record, and I found this in several of my files, so maybe yours have them too. Date of certificate of naturalization, 14th of September, 1907. Received and returned to the homesteader, the 22nd of October, 1907. If you cannot find a naturalization on the homestead records, you could look at census records. The date of naturalization was asked by enumerators in all of the censuses available to us in the 1900s, except for 1906. The naturalization year might not be accurate, but it may be close to the correct year and worth searching. Naturalization registers were filmed so you can see if the ancestor is listed there and then browse the files. I know the homestead record from my great-grandfather was handled in the Yorkton District Court, so I looked at the fourth film in the list. The film contains registers from 1905 to 1930 and files from 1905 to 1917 and 1929. The first microfilm listed was the register from 1907 to 1910. The names are listed chronologically by alphabet. So I paged through it until I found the register records from 1907. I found his name, so now I have his naturalization number, 1444. Next, I looked at the microfilm containing the certificate number and paged through it looking for 1444. There are 4 pages per file in these Yorkton District Court files. The last page has the file number written close to the edge, as you can see by the arrow there. The files contain 3 pages with 2 documents indicating alien is entitled to certificate of naturalization, and the 3rd page is the oath of allegiance. I was able to learn similar details to what was on the index cards that I received for other relatives: the name, place, and present and former residence, occupation, former country of nationality, date of certificate, and the name and the location of the responsible court. show you my records close up. So here is one of the pages in that 4-page file. Here's his name, Maxim Schwach. He lives of Herzl in the province of Saskatchewan, formerly of Luchitsi, Galicia, in the Empire of Austria. He's a farmer. And on the 29th of July, 1907, took the oath. Blah, blah, blah. And then here, this page is the 3rd page, and it's the oath of residence and the oath of allegiance. And it basically covers the same information, where he lived before, where he lives now, which was very helpful to doing research for me. Oops. Okay, so we've covered what naturalization is, how the records can help you in your research, which records are available, and then how you can get copies by email or mail. I find naturalization records particularly useful for jumping the pond to do research in Europe, because a record usually includes their ancestral village or at least their place of birth. I hope this information was helpful for you and that you'll be successful in obtaining naturalization records for somebody that you're searching. Thanks very much for your attention. Any questions there?
Do we have any questions? Got a quiet group this morning.
Has anybody tried to get a naturalization record for someone that they're researching?
I have, and it was many, many years back, and all I received was the card. That was like 20 years ago.
Did that provide you with enough information to search their village where they came from?
Not really, no.
No. Interesting.
Hey, if you have a question and don't want to type it in the chat, just wave your hand and Shelley would be happy to try and help you out. Rose, do you have a question?
Do you have a
I
copy of
need
what
to
the-
unmute. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm looking for a 1909 naturalization record. This is the date given in the 1916 census, Mackenzie in Saskatchewan. This is for my grandfather. My great grandfather, I can't find the date. It doesn't give it, but he came in 1905. My grandfather, the one who I'm looking for 1909, he came in 1907. I know where they came from. I just wondered what else I would find in that record. But I haven't been able to locate him in an index. I can find a homestead record and other records. And
Rose, if you look at those family search files, you may be able to find him, because that date range is within the same range that I was looking at. So you said 1905 or 1907?
he came in 1907 and was naturalized in 1909. And the other one who came in 1905, my great grandfather, I don't know when he was naturalized. But the family search records, they're not indexed, are they?
Not for Saskatchewan, but if you look at my screen here, so
Okay.
Mackenzie district in the census records is where my people were from. So I'm just wondering if these Yorkton court records that I was looking at might be of help to you.
Yes, okay, so Yorkton. Let's see.
So I'm just opening my handout here so you can see that the family search link at the bottom, all I've done is If you click
Okay,
on
I
the,
see. All right, I see that here now. I've got it in front of
Got that?
me. Saskatchewan District Court Naturalization Records. So they're index names. Okay, I'll take a look at that and see if I can find it.
sure, and just to give you a little hint then, this is what I did. I try to familiarize myself with what is in the film so that you know what you're looking at. So I'm just going to show you that when I went through the indexes, okay, so this is the index film. First of all, I think it said it's item 2. So you have to scroll down until you get to item 2. But what I found was that the first index from 1905 to 1907 was on image 121.
121.
And so,
Super.
yeah. So when I see, so here I go, here's alphabet 905, 1906. And then, so then here's another A. So then you'll get the B listings, but they always are listed in chronological order. So, and then you can write this down too. Then image 161. Let's see. Is the next book. See, so here's the next book, book number 2. And the same thing, it goes, here's your A's. There's probably a few pages of those. And on and on and on and on. And then 1908 is, okay, this is probably more in line with what you're looking for. 1908 to 1909 is image 206.
Thank you. Yes, I'm looking
You're
for,
welcome.
they were in Norquay area. Kenora.
Okay, that might be the Yorkton. Who knows? I'm not really sure. I might have to call the Yorkton.
Kloczko and Radchak.
More relatives of mine, probably. Anyway, just for your reference, or for anybody else, image 263 is the next book, 263, which is 1911 to 1912.
Yes, they all seem to be related, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And then the next book, 1913 to 1917, is image 321. Oh, let's go ahead, it's 322.
Thank you. I did notice
is.
that Saskatchewan yesterday when I looked at it and I forgot about that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay.
Super, thank you.
Shelley, Jill has a question. Are these naturalization records available for other provinces, for example, Manitoba?
Not on Family Search. So Manitoba, if it's within from 1915 to 1951 in the naturalization database, which is the lists that were published in the Canada Gazette or the Secretary of State annual reports, they'll include Manitoba. But these court records are only the ones that Family Search has so far.
Cindy says, thank you for an interesting presentation. I didn't know anything about the 1947 Act. Thanks.
That's great.
Okay, any other questions?
Shelley, I have a question. What information differs from the 1941 registration? Have you seen the comparison of documents between naturalization and the 1941 registration?
Let me just direct you to the Library and Archives Canada blog. They have an article here. I display it on my screen. You'll see here. All I did was Google LAC blog 1940 registration. And they have a great article here with links. So here's the link to. So here, the questionnaires include the following details: name, address, age, date of birth, marital status, number of dependents, place and country of birth of the individual, nationality. So very, very similar, but also the females were asked different questions than the males. And so they don't have that written here, but they might be on the website. If you were in the presentation in the last part of September, Candace had asked a question because she said she was having difficulty requesting these files online, and she had mentioned that she had the same problem with it with this naturalization, pardon me, the national registration of 1940, and I didn't try. But here is the link was in that blog post I just showed you a second ago. And here's the form that you fill out. It already says searches of the national registration file of 1940. And then you just stick in your name, and then at the very bottom, the information that you're looking for. And the same as I mentioned with the naturalization records, don't leave anything out. You know, where were they living in 1940? So that's the information that Library and Archives Canada will need, or pardon me, it's not Library and Archives Canada, it's Canada Statistics will be searching for. And I hope that answered your question, Shelley, and I kind of babbled on there.
Yeah, no, it did. I have the 40 census. I actually requested it, but I just was wondering. I actually haven't located the naturalization papers of some of my family members. That's why I was wondering what difference in information might there be in between the two. But I think we're close, but I'll check it out.
Would it be helpful if I sent you a file that I've transcribed of my own to show you what's in it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can probably get your email address later, or stick it in a chat to me and I can copy it and send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Alfred asks about the remote access subscription databases used to have MyHeritage, and as of recently noticed, they are no longer on the desktops, and has the subscription ended? I can answer that for you, Alfred. There's been a problem with MyHeritage this week on our remote access, and we're having someone have a look at it, so it will be back hopefully next week. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Quiet bunch this morning.
Okay, I see no further questions. All right. Okay, well, thank you, Shelley, for your presentation. It was very informative. I'm sure everybody enjoyed it. The next, just a few housekeeping things for you. The next chat with the genealogist session is November 20th, and it's the last one for the year. And it's going to cover maps, gazetteers, archives, and municipal records. Just make a note on your calendars that come the new year, which is fast approaching, Chat with the Genealogist is going to be moving to the second Saturday morning of the month. So with lots of good topics lined up to come for next year. A couple of other events coming up is we have Ancestry Day coming up next weekend, next Saturday. Leslie Anderson is doing 3 sessions for us. There's information on it on our website on the 3 sessions if you want to know which sessions they are. And the cost is only $20 for SGS members for all 3 sessions and $45 for non-members. Ancestry has donated some wonderful door prizes, and there's going to be some deals to be had that day too. So get your registration in if you're interested. And I just also want to mention that our draw for the 50/50 is coming up in less than 2 weeks now. So if you haven't got your tickets, go to www.sgs5050.ca, or you can phone the office here. We'll get them. January, we have a Scottish presentation coming up by Christine Woodcock. Weyburn branch is going to be sponsoring that one, so there'll be more information coming out on that shortly. So I thank you all for joining me. Last chance for questions for Shelley before we go. Yeah.
This one isn't for Shelley, it's for you, Deanne. Just a quick question, how are ticket sales for the 50/50?
ticket sales have been slow. We're hoping they pick up in the last couple of weeks here. So grab your tickets if you haven't. We appreciate the support, and also you could get a nice little windfall just before Christmas. So there you go. Thank you, everybody. Alfred, if you wanted to buy, you could buy through the phone number line, just mentioning that you're out of province. If you give us a call at 780-9420, area code 306, we can arrange that for you. Okay, if there's nothing else, thank you everybody for joining us this morning. Thank you, Shelley, for the wonderful presentation, and enjoy the nice weather this weekend while we can, okay?
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
good day.
Bye-bye.